Now, before we get into the conversation, I want to point out that this video is not being monetized. I cannot monetize this video per YouTube's TOS. So if you'd like to support this video, there is a join button to become a channel member. There's different perks that come along with that per different tiers that you pick. There's also a thanks button on every video that allows you to do a super thanks, which is essentially like a tip. And there's also some links in the description below. So if you choose to continue supporting the channel through this video, all that information is down below. Now, let's talk about some weed. Now today, of course, is 4/20, the International Day of Celebrating and Consuming Cannabis, which I want to point out is legal in 38 of the 50 states for medical use and 24 states for recreational, which Arizona is one of them. Now this is something I've been wanting to talk about for quite a while, but just looking for the right time to do it, and what better day than 4/20. So my history, my backstory with cannabis is very simple. I tried it in middle school. I never really smoked cigarettes. I tried it once, hated it, but cannabis seemed to be easier to smoke, and of course enjoyed the high that came from it. I never purchased it. I never owned any paraphernalia, not even a lighter. Never even owned a lighter. It was always something that I did with friends or at a party and whatnot. And even back then, I can remember liking it more than alcohol. But of course, it was illegal. Didn't do it all through high school, and only did it, I think, once in college with some coworkers or something like that. But that's it. 20 years pretty much passed, and didn't touch it at all because, again, it was illegal. It was just something that wasn't something I was actively pursuing. Then it started becoming legal for medical use in states like Washington and Colorado, and slowly started going across the country. But even then, you had to have a medical condition or at least some ailment that would warrant a medical card. And it wasn't really anything that I really pursued, because again, it just wasn't something that I was actively going after or whatnot, because it still seemed like wrong, right? Then it started becoming legal recreationally, and that's when things started to change. I would travel to various states across the country, and marijuana was legal in some of those states. So I could walk into a store and purchase cannabis just like I could turn around and purchase alcohol, right? I could buy a joint, I could buy a beer, I could buy like some gummies, I could buy some tequila, same thing. And it's legal to travel with cannabis from the state you purchased it in, even if you're traveling to a state where it's still illegal. I was in California, and a friend of mine had a cannabis vape pen, which up until even to this day, I've not ever vaped nicotine. Back then, I'd never vaped at all, anything. And I was like, you know what? I would love to try that. A, because I've never tried a vape before, and two, I haven't smoked weed in over 20 years. And so I tried it, I enjoyed it, and before I left California, went to a dispensary, my first time ever, and purchased my own cartridge and battery, and brought it home. And I must have sat on that for almost a month before I busted out and told Tiffany. I told Tiffany that I had smoked it, I just didn't tell her that I had purchased it yet. But I did, and she was fine with it, and that was kind of the start. But it was still illegal here in Arizona, so it was still this weird, like, it was still taboo, right? I hadn't told the kids yet, didn't really tell anyone else. It was kind of a slow, told one person kind of thing. So for the next year, every time I traveled to California or Colorado or Washington or any other state that it was legal in, I would bulk up. I'd purchase legally, and then I'd bring it back home, and then I would have it for the next, however many months until my next travel trip. Now, I believe it was 2019, Sierra was going with me to a conference, and I was going to be around some of my friends that I normally will partake in cannabis usage with. So I decided to tell Sierra that I used cannabis, and I showed her my vape pen, and she was blown away. Not in a bad way. She was like, "Oh my gosh, you really?" Like, it was almost like, "Wow, I never would have guessed," So I told Sierra in 2019. I didn't tell Bryce until I believe either that summer or the following summer, we were in California, where it's legal to purchase, legal to consume, and I'm on vacation. And so I told Bryce, I pulled everything out, put it on the table in front of Tiffany, Sierra, Bryce, and let them know that, you know, this is my thing. I prefer this over alcohol. If you've noticed me drinking less by the pool or less, you know, at home at the parties, this is why. And then it became legal here in Arizona. Once it became legal here in Arizona and dispensaries that were already medical started becoming recreational, that's when everything changed, because now it's legal here in my state. So other than people's personal views, there really wasn't anything for me to, you know, be ashamed of or to be, you know, to feel like I needed to hide it. I go to dispensaries, I would buy, I'd purchase, but there was still like this stigma to it where I didn't want to just do it in front of other people. I never smoked cigarettes again, so even just lighting up a pipe or a joint or a bong or anything still felt weird to do in front of the kids. And I would say up until just this last year, I never really used in front of the kids because it just felt weird. Even though I'd walk around with, you know, beer in my hand or a margarita in my hand like it's no big deal. And I don't know why. I think it's just because growing up with it being bad. I would say today I'm a lot more loose. You know, if I'll pull out a pipe and smoke on the back porch, and I'll leave it on the back porch table, knowing that I'm probably gonna come back out in an hour or two to take another hit. So, you know, it's there, the kids see it, it's no big deal. And the kids know, and the kids don't have any problems with it. They don't have any issues with it. Pretty much anyone that I've talked to, no one really cares. Because again, it's legal in the way they look at it, it's to each their own. And I would say that that's what I prefer. I prefer cannabis over alcohol. If I had to pick one and give up the other, hands down easily, I'd stick with cannabis and I'd go with alcohol. A lot of times I will take a gummy, or I'll hit my vape, or hit my pipe, and then I'll crack open a beverage or an alcoholic drink, or make myself a cocktail, and I just sip on it. It's the same cocktail for hours, because like it's more just for the flavor, more just for the, you know, the experience kind of thing. I've always said how I'm not a big drinker. I don't get drunk very often. I don't drink to get drunk. I drink because I enjoy the flavors. I go to bars and order a custom cocktail because I enjoy the experience, and, you know, and so this just falls in line with, this is more me. Cannabis is more me. So now you're caught up to current times. So let's talk about what I like to use. Now, hands down, my favorite way to consume cannabis is the easiest form, and that's edibles. And specifically, if you know me, I like gummies. So the Kiva Confections Camino brand is my favorite. They're 5 milligrams, which is on the lighter side. You know, those just are a nice mellow, high, very functional. You know, if I'm doing stuff around the house, not really worried too much about a 5 milligram. But if I'm ready to party, then we bump it up to a 10 milligram, and this is Baker Bros, which is a local company here in Arizona, actually. These are 10 milligrams. They actually have 10 milligrams of THC, CBC, and CBD. And so 5s and 10s are all I mess with. I don't go anything higher than that. I hear some people who go into the 50s and above. I'm just like, you're crazy. Consuming THC via, you know, digesting through your liver hits different than smoking and vaping. So make sure you do your research on that. But I like gummies. So I always have gummies on with me. I usually, like I said, I always have the 5s, and I usually have a batch of 10s somewhere as well. From gummies, the next thing would be a vape. And I prefer the Stizzy brand battery and cartridges. They're magnetic. They just clip right in, just snap right in like that. And I usually will do sativas. Sativas are my jam, though I'll hit an indica at night to wind down before bed, or, you know, just to kind of like get into the couch, right? That's the indicas. Sativas are more of a nice brain buzz, and indicas are more like a body relaxation. Depending on which strains and terpenes, there's all kinds of different feelings and effects, and there's a ton of research to do when it comes to cannabis. Sorry, AC just kicked on, so it's gonna be a little noisier. All right, so next we have flower, the actual plant, the bud, if you will, and there's obviously a ton of different ways you can smoke that. But another way that I like to is vaping it. This is a Pax Mini. Shout out to my buddy Bob who told me about this one. You actually load the flower into the bottom. So it turns it into a little oven, and it vaporizes the actual flower, the THC in the flower, and you smoke it that way. Very light, mellow, hardly ever cough at all. It's just super chill and mellow, and it's a much more mellow high in my opinion as well. Then of course there's pipes and water bongs and pre-rolls or joints and whatnot, and a plethora of other ways to do that. I still to this day have never rolled a joint before. Never rolled a joint before. In fact, I don't even think I packed a bowl until I got this pipe and a little mini bong. Never impacted. Like again, I never was a cannabis like consumer. It was simply just like it's like showing up to a party and someone handing you a beer. Like, hey, here you go. Like, oh, okay, cool, thanks. Like, but never actually going out and purchasing your own. That was me. So yeah, I've never rolled a joint, and honestly, I never really have to because pre-rolls exist. So there you go. That is my cannabis story. At this point, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to publicly, make it known on the channel so that I can be a little more lax in my usage and consumption. Now that I'm back to daily vlogging, not that I was hiding it, but it's like a lot of things in my life. I don't vlog 24/7. There's a lot in my life that is behind the camera that you never see, and that's one of them. So now I feel like I can kind of just be more open about it, and of course we can talk about it. Like I said in the beginning of the video, this video is not monetized because I'm talking about it, I'm showing it, I'm using it, and so I do still have to be cautious and about what I can show on the channel. I obviously don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get any TOS community strikes or anything like that. And of course, I still do make money from these videos to pay bills, so I want to make sure that I can keep my monetization and everything. So if you have any questions or any stories you want to share, any of your favorite products, if you partake yourself, let me know in the comments down below. We'd really love to know. We can start talking about this. You do need to be 21 plus to consume cannabis, just like alcohol. Oh, by the way, Tiffany and Sierra bought this for me for Father's Day a couple of years ago. I've only worn it one time, like publicly, and that was on stream last year for 420 or the year before. I can't remember what it was, but it was on stream for 420. This is my official 420 shirt. If you know me, I have a shirt for holidays and occasions, these button-up shirts. This is my jam. So it was very fitting that Tiffany and Sierra bought it for me for Father's Day. I love it, and yeah, I got multiple compliments on it at the dispensary today. So happy 420. Be safe out there.